Hi there. So I've had a few questions about the blog vlog assignment. So I thought I would um, share my screen and kind of give you some more explanation about the project. So you'll see the link right here, this disability blog vlog. It's an ongoing project. And so you'll want to choose a platform that allows you to build on it. So I'll explain that in a little bit more detail in just a second. So you should be able to click here and it drops down. You'll see the project instructions and then all of the submission links are right here, okay? So the project instructions will tell you kind of basically what this whole assignment is. So the purpose is to help you critically engage with the content and to make meaningful connections between the course concepts, real world experiences, and even your own personal experiences. So you have two choices. You can choose to do a written blog. And so if you're doing a written blog, you should aim for at least 3 to 4 well-developed, detailed, and thoughtful paragraphs, or 350 to 400 words if you are someone that needs that kind of boundary. And you can use a Microsoft Word document. You can use a PowerPoint slide if that works for you. I don't really, the format doesn't really matter to me as long as you're doing it in writing. And it's something that you can build on each time. So for example, this week you're going to do your first blog. And so you'll write your first response to the blog prompts. Then I'll show you where to find those in a second. And you could title it something like blog number 1 and give it a jazzy title if you'd like. And then when you do your second blog post, that one will be first. So you'll do blog 2, blog 1. So it'll go in descending order. So the most current blog should be first. I don't want to have to scroll through to find it. So build it with the most recent one at the top of your page or at the top of as the first slide. Okay. If you choose a vlog, which I think is really fun, for those of you that don't mind seeing yourselves in video, don't mind, you can use your phone, you can use YouTube, however you want to do it. You'll use a video to describe, to answer the prompts and to capture your understanding of the content, how it applies to real world, how it applies to your experiences. So instead of writing it, you are actually going to talk it out, share it in words. So for those of you who are interested in something like that, because sometimes it's hard to like articulate your thoughts off the cuff, you might want to create a little outline or bullet points or something like that to kind of help you. And then when you submit the video, you can also share your outline if you want to. But the goal is to engage with the weekly readings, the discussions, the themes in a meaningful way. So thinking about what you're reading in the text, what you're watching, what you're listening to, how does all of that come together? I want you to really think critically about how this applies to everyday life. So when you're reading about different policies related to disability, how is that playing out now? And in our current climate, there's a lot happening in the disability world, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to make those connections. Explore and evaluate information from a variety of sources. I've given you those sources. So every week I've tried to design it so you have something to read, something to watch, and something to listen to. For those of you who are stronger readers or like written text, like it might be a little more difficult for you to access things with through audio or video, but I was trying to universally design the course so that you get content from multiple sources. So that's one reason that I did it that way. Okay, so it says right here that for the blog, you're going to use either a Google Doc, a OneDrive doc, a Microsoft Word document. You can use PowerPoint slides if that's something you enjoy and want to. So like I said, the format doesn't really matter to me as long as the content is there. So this is designed, I want it to be something that really shows who you are and how you're processing the content. So it's more about me getting to know you and how you're thinking about things. Okay, so then you'll just create the document, title it, and then you'll create an entry for module 1. And like I said, each week thereafter, you'll add a new one. And so do it in descending order. So the most recent one is at the top. Make sure you're citing all your sources properly. So you're going to, at the very least, if you're using the textbook, you're going to cite the textbook. If you need help with citations, I can share some source resources with you. But if you're writing, you'll want to use in-text citations. If you're doing a vlog, it can be as easy as saying, well, in Tiffany Yu's book about the Anti-Ableist Manifesto, she says blah, blah, blah. So you can do it that way as well. So just make sure that you're citing your sources. You do not have to create a reference list until the very end. So you don't have to provide a reference list for each blog entry. Just make sure that you're using in-text citations and giving credit to the sources that you're using, whether it's the podcast, the videos, or the textbook. Okay, so feel free to visit this page a little bit longer, really read through it, but I'm going to show you where to find the content for your first vlog, okay? So this is the submission link. You'll click the submission link, and this is what pops up. So you'll notice you get the description, but you don't have the prompts. That's because you need to go over here to the right where it says view instructions and click that, okay? Now it opens up the assignment instructions. So for your first blog, if you've already read chapter 1, don't worry about it, but I want you to think about how you would have defined disability before you read chapter 1. And then I want you to ask 2 or 3 of your friends to define disability, and then in your blog, you're going to share their definitions. Like, are they the same as yours, different than yours? What do you notice about it? And then explain whether their definitions or yours frame disability as negative, neutral, or positive. And then the second prompt is, what does you mean when she says not all disabilities are apparent? So I want you to define that, explain it. And then before reading chapters 3 and 4, again, hopefully you haven't read those yet. If you have, it's okay. But just try to think back to how you thought about disability before you read those chapters. So how did you feel about using the word disability when talking to people? How did you feel about or respond to disabled people? So for example, when my daughter was 4, she saw a woman who was a wheelchair user, and she said, Mom, I feel really sorry for that woman. And I asked her why, and she said, because she can't walk. So she learned really early that it's better to be able to use your legs than it is to use a wheelchair to get around. But what was really interesting is I followed that up with, well, can't this person get to what they need to using a wheelchair? And honestly, sometimes a little faster than you can. And so it really sparked this great conversation about not viewing disability as pitiable, but to really think more critically about, like, what do we mean when we feel sorry for people, and why are we feeling sorry for people? And then I want you to share a meme or a social media post about disability, and then explain how it frames disability as negative, neutral, or positive, and why you think that. So when I said earlier that if you're writing, it should be 3 to 4 well-developed paragraphs, you can actually address each of these as a separate paragraph. So you can, for your first paragraph, you could do number 1. Your second and third paragraph, you might be able to put together a little bit if you want to, or you can keep them separate, but try to think of it that way. Like, each prompt should be its own well-developed paragraph or explanation if you're doing a vlog, okay? And then you will upload your vlog. I would encourage you to do it electronically. Share, like, create a OneDrive document or Google Slide or even Canva. You can share the link. Make sure that it's not a private link. I need to be able to access it and give you feedback. So you can share your link right down here in this submission box here. So, and if you do this correctly, you can share the same link every time, because it will, because you'll be adding to just that first initial blog. You'll add blog 2, blog 3, blog 4. And so you really just need the one link to share, and I'll be able to see all of them. And so that's basically what the blog assignment is. It's really just you taking the content that you learn in each module and really thinking about it, thinking about how it applies to the real world, thinking about your experiences with it, making connections between what you saw in the video, what you heard in the podcast, and what you're reading in the text. So it's just a way to kind of synthesize all that information, but it gives you a platform to be more creative. I get to kind of get to know you better. If you're using slides, which I love to use slides because I'm more of a visual person, so I would add images and maybe some quotes, and I don't know, I just would make it really reflect who I am as a person. So you have that freedom to do that. If you're someone that just likes to write and that's it, feel free to write it, and you don't have to do anything outside of just addressing the basics. So you're not graded on creativity, I guess is what I'm saying, but you have full freedom to be as creative as you'd like. So If you have other questions, please let me know.